Welcome to the video about pictures which I colored in January. Welcome to the video about pictures which I colored in October. Of course, almost the whole October was dedicated to Halloween pictures, but I also tried to remember about Mr. Fogarty to continue his journey. I did only one page, but still, after this one, I only need 3 pictures and book will be finished. So I did this very detailed page when Mr. Fogarty has a romantic evening. After my last coloring in this book, where I wasn't happy with markers, I didn't use them in a good way, I decided to return to my usual coloring with pencils. Here I combined polychromoses and Prismacolors. Polychromoses because I already decided all colors for Mr. Fogarty and I use them from one page to another. And Prismacolors helped me to create soft shades on the background, to create atmosphere of the evening. My favorite part here is those lanterns. I think that they really create atmosphere, and that ship with red sails. So, quite pleased with this one. Definitely I will do my best to finish this book, because another reason why I want to finish this book, apart from to have a finished book, because I have also second part and I promised myself that I will start it only when this one is finished. Okay, Matchstick Mouse. I have both Halloween and autumn books. They are probably my least frequently colored. I use them only in October, sometimes in November. And yeah, I tried to do something in autumn book this month on also, but apart from this cozy sleep among the autumn leaves, it was fun but nothing special. Somehow I was much more attracted to the winter book, and despite the name, I think that several pictures here, they look like autumn, at least what fall season look at my area. For example, this one, that's perfect example of autumn with winds, with all those colorful leaves. And one of my favorite color combos, it's when you use orange and magenta colors together with violet. It always works well, and here it also helped me to add the dynamics to the page. So really we can see that we have the wind and poor Matchstick Mouse try to catch the hat. Well, quite lovely, and I used here Prismacolors and Arctics. I have in Arctics one of my favorite color combos. I already used it several times with all the shades from lilac to imperial violet to very dark violet color, so I used it here also. I think that it looks really well with orange shades. And second, I did on a rainy day. I also wanted to use some cheerful colors for coats, especially for babies. Well, nothing special, but it cheered me up. Lovely page. Maybe those drops of rain, they look slightly childish, but I totally don't mind in this book. Next, we move to Autumn Charm. It's the only book by Teresa which I colored in October. I really wanted to do a couple of other autumn landscapes, but didn't have time, and during last 2 weeks we have again blackouts, so my time for coloring it's even more limited now. So I did this wooden gazebo, wooden bench, a lot of orange, yellow colors, thanks to Prismacolor pencils, where you can find various shades of yellow, from less intense like jasmine or sand, through yellow ochre to various shades of orange, and of course all shades of yellow greens, which I love to use for fall landscapes. I think that it looks not bad. I hope that the cat isn't lost in the middle. I hoped to attract more attention to the cat using this dark green for the pillow and for the blanket. So maybe not the best, but definitely a lovely autumn landscape. I'm glad that I did at least something in Teresa book, because for me it's kind of must to do during each month. I really want to do at least one page in Teresa Goodrich books. One day I wanted to play with Inktense, with watercolors, so I did pictures here. Let's start from Fond Fragile by Paul Brun. I had several shades of watercolors which I wanted to test for the water. The first of them was granulating watercolor on a normal watercolor paper where we have texture. It creates very good shades between deep blue, or maybe deep phthalo blue, and green. Here the effect isn't very visible, but I still love the shade of the water. Other colors which I selected for these lines, which probably represent seaweeds, those granulating paint, they created something more like dirt. So in the end I even had to cover them a little bit with other paint, with acrylic paint. So sometimes with the most professional paints, and I used Schminke, which are definitely high-end professional colors, paper simply can't show all the properties of the beautiful granulating paints. So it's not your skills, it's just paper, and we need to remember that when we color in coloring books, it's not like when we color on professional watercolor paper. To color quicker the background, I also used Inktense for several areas. About the turtle, I'm not sure that I'm completely happy. Somehow for me, the pattern on her back, maybe I had to work on it a little bit more carefully to do more precise pattern, but it was the last element which I colored. I already was preoccupied that my fishes, even if they are accurate exactly like they look in real life, I look at reference photos, but they are slightly lost because of this seaweeds, so I already was slightly disappointed. And on the turtle, I do love this pattern on her legs, on her head, but maybe here, well, not bad, but also not perfect. There are areas which for me look slightly dirty. Okay, now about Urban Anna, just one page, but it was a page with pumpkins, so of course I had to select it. I used a couple of watercolor shades to do this relatively dull blue walls of the building, because all my Inktense, they are extremely vibrant, and diluted watercolor helped me to create color similar to the color on the original. And then I used Inktense. Inktense are perfect for pumpkins. They have such a lovely shades of orange and yellow colors together with green. So I had a lot of fun, many tricks which Urban Anna used, some softer shades, some interesting gradients. It's really very interesting to notice when you copy the original picture. So more and more I enjoy my decision not to do something from myself and to copy original art, and in such way maybe to learn some tricks from the artist. And picture which is totally not for the autumn but more for the summer season. Honestly, I started it in the end of August and only now I finished it. In August I started to do Inktense background because on the grass, on the leaves, I did underpaint with Inktense pencils, and then on the details on the shadows. I worked with Prismacolors, which are my favorite pencils in this book, but sometimes I either don't have patience or I don't have desire to spend Prismacolors to cover the whole background. I want to save them. So I think that combo of Inktense and Prismacolors in this book work really well. It's not the first page where I use this technique, this combo, and I intend to do it for for almost all my future pictures. I definitely also want to test watercolors, because sometimes Inktense are maybe a little bit too vibrant, like you can see on these leaves, how vibrant are Inktense pencils. For the summer picture, it really worked well. For fall season, for winter, well, maybe watercolors will be better choice for underpaint, but I'm very grateful that Inktense work well on this paper and they help me to color quicker. Well, there were two great returns. Books which I hadn't touched maybe for at least for a year, maybe even longer. Here I have this Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. Of course, during Halloween I had to do something in this beautiful book. I absolutely love paper in Blue Angel books. I enjoy coloring here with Prismacolors, and I love her art. So I first did this one of her lovely girls. It's Angel de los Muertos, so you can see that it's a Mexican culture. So some of the areas I copied from the original art, like this Mexican flag, colors of the Mexican flag. It really is a clever idea. Without this hint from Jasmine, maybe I wouldn't do it, and I'm glad that I copied it. It really reminds me about what culture we are talking about, what tradition. And yeah, everything else, I think that it's very colorful, exactly like we have during Mexican carnivals. I'm proud of myself how I did shading both on the light color on the skulls and her almost white dress. They all are light but shaded in slightly different colors, slightly different color combos. I think that everything is well balanced, and I love how shiny are her eyes. I hope that when you look at this page, you immediately look at her beautiful face and then on the rest of the elements. I really enjoyed doing this one, so I decided that why I have this vibe, the inspiration for this book, I really need to do something else. And I selected probably the most Halloween picture in the whole book. Perfect Halloween picture with all attributes, starting from jack-o'-lantern, magical potion, trick-or-treating basket, a live skull, and then the witch. Again, for me, it was quite interesting to use a lot of dark colors, not my usual color palette, but here I think that everything was quite instructive for me, because I deliberately used dark colors everywhere, but I added some additional color accents, like very light celadon green together with gray for the background, mystical background, more bluish highlights on the coat of skull, and greenish and purplish color accents for the jack-o'-lantern. I think that it was really interesting, but of course it's thanks to the paper, where you can blend, where you can apply various Prismacolor shades, and they work very well on this paper. A lot of pleasure for this fun, and of course Dress of the Witch, that's probably the part where I had the biggest fun. And I also remember this lovely color combo. I definitely wanted to make more girls with this red hair. I think that she looks quite badass, very attractive witch. Second huge return is Tomislav Tomic, Dromenwanger or Zemlya Snova. Maybe not as successful as return of Jasmine Beckett Griffiths, because here I struggled with almost each element apart from the frame. I think that frame and castle, that's what attracted me to this huge spread. And area where I struggled the most, it's those flowers. I still think that they look slightly too, I don't know, not childish, like those Barbie pinks. They are not my favorite colors, but I repeatedly use them everywhere. It's just a question which I can't answer myself. What I do love, the frame, especially those side patterns and the bottom border, are very lovely in my opinion. I do love those big leaves. Again, I will remember it for my future colorings, how well green works with lilac. Lovely ultramarine from Polychromos. I don't like ultramarine from Prismacolors. Somehow I don't use it frequently. But from Polychromos set, it's one of the most beautiful blue shades. And I do love my castle. Everything else is so-so. But of course the most important part is that such a lovely book, it's not laying totally abandoned, because I abandoned to color it. I want to color it, it's lovely, but I wasn't happy with my last pictures and I thought that, oh no, I will continue to ruin, maybe I need to do a break to get more skills. Well, coloring hasn't started to be easier, even after this long year or maybe 2 years break, but I will try again. Maybe next one I will do in Villain Sun. Not sure that I will do it in the end of the year, because it's almost time to start Christmas pictures, and again with those blackouts I will be barely able to do Christmas pictures, not to add something else. But I will slowly start to do my color planning, and I want to continue doing pictures by Tomislav Tomic. For this one I combined Polychromoses and Prismacolors. I have this Croatian edition where I usually don't use watercolors, so I have to work with pencils only. And now we will talk about witches and wizards, because for October, the same for Kolorowanka Color with Ukraine were wizards, molfars, it's Ukrainian wizards from Zakarpattia regions, and other witches. And somehow I did actually a lot of pictures with the Sam. First of all, it gave me a hint to return to Epic World of Tolkien, another book where I love the Sam. I don't like all the pictures because they were created by various artists, and I don't like such mix in one book. I prefer when one book is created in the same style by the same artist. But still, with such amount of pictures, there are many lovely pictures, many landscapes, but unfortunately for landscapes I can't use watercolor. Paper doesn't accept it. So for my Radagast I decided to use Inktense, and guys, it was much better comparing to watercolors. No problems with dots, quick coloring. This trees I did very quickly. I covered some black lines which I didn't like. Then and on top of Inktense I added more branches and tree trunks using regular pencils. So definitely Inktense, it's a must-have when you color landscapes in this book. For the Radagast I even used budget pencils, because in Arteza set there are very nice shades of brown-green colors, exactly what I needed for his coat and for the head. I can say that they worked very well on this paper. They felt waxy, and even now I can clearly see a waxy white layer. But apart from this struggle to cover paper, to blend them, I actually enjoyed it much more comparing to my previous almost ruined papers, where I even did a hole when I blended colors where I used watercolors. So for me it really opened another way to color in this book. Definitely short break for November and December, and then I will try to use more intense pencils. It's a good way not to waste inks in the box, and it's a good way to have at least some progress here. I definitely love Radagast. Another book with awful paper, it's Year of Witches. But this month I was a wise girl and I selected page where you almost don't have the background. Usually here I cry over empty backgrounds, but this one with the witch shop thankfully has very limited background area, which I did with polychromosis. Again, of course, on such thin paper it was a struggle, but at least the final look of this page, I think that it has perfect Halloween palette. I do love how orange and red look together with blue violet, and also together with this deep cobalt green, very good contrast. So at least this one I consider as a big success in this book, comparing to my previous pictures where I usually start, then something happens with paper, with the background, and the rest of the coloring I simply try to save it. This one definitely was easier coloring, even if page is detailed, but there are a lot of lovely elements. It was fun to color and I didn't struggle as much as I usually do, so happy with this one. And next, Mountain King. Honestly, it's very difficult to understand. I thought that both this one and this one were printed by Amazon, but paper here is, well, the worst. Here paper also looks relatively thin, but I managed to do the whole background with pencils. You can see that I used markers only for the window, simply because I thought that it will be quicker and maybe more precise way rather than using cool gray color from pencils. And yes, that's pencils and they covered paper quite well. I didn't struggle too much here. Definitely one of my best Russell Hampson pictures. As usual, I'm totally in love with this humor details. Look at this face. Absolutely priceless. And the face of the dragon. So they have a moment of catastrophe. The second slightly frightened frog also quite nice. So you can imagine such a fun story behind this one. And I again use this color contrast between red, orange and blue, which always work quite well. I can definitely recommend it for your autumn pictures, for your Halloween pictures. It always looks quite spectacular. Love this page. Next, it's Fairy Celebration by Klara Markova, page which I finished recently and where I decided to finally use Potter's pink and Perilyn violet colors idea for the background. Idea which I had for a long time, but I finally had inspiration to do it here. Honestly, it's watercolor plus pencils in several areas. In the center I also added cinnamon, ivory, medium flash, all from Polychromos to add to I don't know how to describe Potter pink, but I wanted to add more peach and light yellow colors in the middle, so pencils on top of watercolors. I think that they created this glow effect in the middle, exactly what I wanted, and deeper color closer to the grass and ground. Lovely witch. I think that she is moving with all her most precious possessions, starting from the pillow and all those potions. Potions probably were my favorite part to color, together with her dress. For the dress, I thought maybe green, maybe blue. Happy that I used blue again, even if almost all my wizards, they are dressed in blue. But I don't mind. If these colors look lovely together, why wouldn't I use it? I also was slightly confused when I noticed her wings, witch with wings. But I think that these green colors, lime peel, ginger root, they helped me to color wings and at the same time to support the idea of the forest witch. So I didn't want to use blue or pink like I do for fairies. Green was a lifesaver here. This page I did with a mix of polychromoses and Prismacolors. I know that many people complain to me that it's impossible to use polychromoses on this paper. You know, maybe it's a thing when your book was published, because this one, it's old. I think that all the newest books, they have slightly different, still very good, but slightly different paper. I think something more ecological, but maybe there it's more difficult to use polychromoses. Here I didn't have any problems, so I added only shades which I lack in polychromos set, like shades of a little bit of light green colors, a little bit of light blue or slate gray colors, a little bit of lilac, and that's why I used them. Apart from it, polychromoses for me worked quite well on this paper. Final picture which I will show you, it's from Symphony of Cute Animals. So sorry, it doesn't have now the dust cover, because I continue to work in this book almost each month, so the dust cover is safely sitting on the shelf. And I did Halloween picture, not the Halloween picture, but either Halloween spread, this one. I really tried hard to stay in limited color palette, and I think that I managed. Colors, again, those which I already mentioned to you: blue, orange, deep green, and here I also added lilac and purple colors. It was really fun to color all the animals. I'm grateful that my viewers were patient, because I filmed like 7 parts doing all the animals separately. The only problem was that part is hidden inside of the binding, so I really dislike that part of the owl face is hidden. But apart from it, I think that it's really lovely. I was concerned actually about this floor, this pattern. It's very active, and yes, it's a stolen part of attention from the main characters, but thanks to the orange and green, I still think that the table is the focal point. A lot of lovely attributes of Halloween here, those pumpkins and those cupcakes. I had a lot of fun, even if it wasn't very quick coloring. After I did this pencil background, the rest I simply enjoyed. So despite all these problems with this paper, where I usually use only Prismacolors now, all other pencils I simply can't use, I think that it's a lovely spread, and yeah, I'm glad that I added it. I have really good, even if slow, progress in this book. And the final thing which I want to show you in this video, it's not about coloring, it's about cross stitching. So I continue to do my own handmade decorations, handmade ornaments. In September and October I stitched with beads those wooden pine trees. I wanted to show them to you now, because now I just need to do the final step to connect, but they won't look as nice, so you won't be able to see both parts. Lovely work, I really enjoyed doing it. I can do it even when we have blackouts with a local lamp, enough light just to highlight this area so I can stitch them. Maybe they are a little bit like cheap looking because of these vibrant colors and these big beads, but I think that as a table decoration it will look lovely. I intend it as a gift. I hope that when I connect two parts and here will be a white border, it will look quite nice. So that's how I tried to create myself a Christmas spirit. Well, not very successfully. I can't say that I have any festive spirit or I don't want to start doing Christmas pictures, but well, maybe one day the miracle will happen and I will go grab my Christmas books and I will have an early start. I definitely need to do it if I want to have at least some winter and Christmas pictures done. Well, thank you for watching and I hope to see you soon in my first videos of November.